Hey, what is going on you guys? It's Frogman here and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my one-shot Amon build, and this is by far right now probably a top 3 strongest Amon build in the game. There is no crazy exploits going on here. This is basically all just math. And this is a build that I've been working very hard on since Blastoid Amon, basically, with CZ obviously, and we've been trying to further optimize the build around one concept, and that is dot damage. As always, if you want the full write-up for this build, you're going to find it in the description on Mobalytics, where you'll find even more instructions and rundowns on how this functions. But basically, the making of this build revolved around one concept, being that the vault bosses of the game all get one-shotted. We're able to one-shot any big badass creature like that with absolute ease, and we've achieved that, which is really nice. So let's get into the build. Today we're going to do it a little different. I'm going to start off with the skill tree and we'll get to the items last because there's a lot more to break down there. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please sub to the channel, I'd appreciate it, and let's get right into it, boys. We're going to start off in the red tree. We're going to take 5 points into what burns within. We don't really want this, but it's fine to just take this over anything else here. Into the second tier, we take max points into Wield the Storm for status damage, status effect duration, which is very nice for us. We take 3 into Gut Punch, which typically we would not, but we want as much uptime on the weakness as we can, making sure it's consistent. So we're taking 3 points into Gut Punch. We take 5 points into Tritanium Knuckles because it does boost Tail of the Comet, so it has direct synergy with blue. And then we take 5 points into Catastrophe right here for the crit chance and crit damage. Now, right now, Blackout is not fixed, so we put 5 points into the Fray, but you can also put the 5 points into Burning Ramparts if you want, or you could do 4 points and then put 1 point into Blackout. But what's important to note is that when Gearbox do fix Blackout, we're going to be removing those points from red down here and putting them 5 out of 5 into Blackout, so don't forget to do that. I would have told you to do it right now anyway, but Gearbox have not fixed Blackout. That is coming in a later patch this month, I would assume. So when they do, take those 5 or 4 points, whatever you have into the Fray or Ramparts, and put them into Blackout. Now, speaking of the blue tree, we are going 5 points into Wrath of Nature here. We have status application chance from this, that's why we want it. And we also have 5 points into Battleborn for the gun damage. We get double the bonus at max health, and because we should always be at max health when doing one-shots, we're technically getting 40% at basically all times. Then we take 5 points into Tail of the Comet. Of course, we want to get as many points from our class mod as well. So we have max points into Tail of the Comet. And then down here, we're doing 5 points into Northern Wind so we can get to Primal Surge, where we take 1 point. Because we are not using the Cyborg on this build, we need to go to Primal Surge ourselves here. Otherwise, mobbing is going to have you running out of ammo, and farming bosses will have you running out of ammo. So that's why we manually go to Primal Surge here for 1 point. We don't want to use the Cyborg on this build, just because we want as many points into Tail as we can. So yes, that's why we're doing that. However, I will say that you could also, if you can't get an Icebringer with points into Tail of the Comet, go for a Grenadier and get 5 into Blackout when they do fix it. But they have not fixed it yet, so that's why we're on Icebringer, and that's why the skill tree looks like this. For our augment, we're using Cryonic Thrum because we ADS and shoot while our action skill is active, and we get 35% bonus cryo damage. Very nice. So that is the skill tree. Into our Specializations tab, take 20 into Survivor so that you can get down to the best defense. That's going to be augment number 1. Take 20 in Gadgeteer so you can get Fragmentation Payload. This will give us crit chance and crit damage again, which is very nice for us. Take enough into Brute and Sharpshooter to get yourself Contamination and also in the Zone, and that's going to be 3 and 4, and that's your augments. The rest of your points, you can put them wherever you want. I would just go 20 across what you've chosen. So there we go. And now lastly, let's get into the items for this build. Now I will have a link to how to get any of the dedicated drop items, of which we're only using 1. So first of all, you're going to want to use any splash damage weapon. I have the Kickballer because it's pretty popular at this point, so I'm just holding it to hold it. So We want to hold a splash weapon for something we're going to talk about in a second with our enhancement. But yeah, any splash weapon, just hold it in your hand. If you want other options for dealing weapon damage, I would go with something that has a spread launcher. Spread launcher has enough power on this build to almost one-shot the back hive, which is kind of crazy. But over that, it's just very good for second wins if you do go down. Into your rep kit choice, you can take literally any rep kit so long as it has amp. This one has Enrage, which we do benefit from sometimes, but if you just want to take a random legendary rep kit and take amp, feel free. This is the one that I have, but your rep kit's not important so long as it has amp. Amp is going to do so much heavy lifting for the damage in this build. Do not skip this. This is crucial. For the class mod, we have the Icebringer class mod, and we specifically are looking for points into Tail of the Comet. Also, you can see that my passives are not good on this one. This is a suboptimal Icebringer here. You want stuff like damage dealt, elemental damage, but this one is fine. It's fine. It has points into Tail, which we want. Ideally, you want 5 out of 5 into Tail of the Comet, and you want elemental damage and damage dealt, but I don't have that. It is what it is. Next up, into our shield, we're using the protein cell here for the 40% bonus shock damage. We're only going to be able to trigger this by jumping and slamming, so just be aware of that if you've not used the protein cell. Like I said, this is a more mechanically involved build, so yes, this is not just going to be a plug and play build. You do need to know how to use the items in it effectively. So yes, that is the shield we're running. We're running the protein cell, and it doesn't matter what your augments are. You see I have Turtle and Nova. Really doesn't matter. Just get a protein cell, and you're going to get that 40% bonus shock damage. So, very nice. The only thing to be aware of with the protein cell, and this I feel like is a bug, so Gearbox, if you're watching, please fix, is that the protein cell's natural effect is that all damage taken goes through the shield directly to your health bar. But what it doesn't tell you is that it completely removes health gate. That means that if a boss right now, for example, if you look at my health bar, is able to deal more than 6,641 damage in one hit, they are going to one-tap me. This makes this build really bad for survivability. That's why we're also running the shield, so we can block portions of damage that come towards us. But if you get like ran into by Backhive or meleeed, you might be cooked, because the protein cell I do believe is bugged right now, so just something to be aware of there. Okay, moving on to our enhancement. We are using any enhancement so long as we can get enhancement gun damage, of course. We also want to try and get either gun status chance or gun status damage. And lastly, the most important stat that we're looking for is gun splash damage. The reason why is if you have enhancement splash damage on specifically an enhancement, remember that, and you're holding a splash damage weapon in your hand, your dots will get the damage boost. Source, trust me bro, okay? So if I'm holding my kickballer right now, and then I pull out my ordnance, it will get that boost, okay? So just take my word on that, go and do it, very nice. Okay, and now lastly, what I want to talk about is the ordnance. This is the Hail Spike. Now, the Hail Spike is going to once again be king in this build. It's going to get you them one-shots. You only need 2 elements. Take either a shock or a fire Hail Spike. If you cannot get your hands on a Hail Spike, you can also take a Monsoon. The Monsoon is literally just a Hail Spike, but the difference is it does not have 2-shot. It has Merv and projectile speed, and you'll see higher card dot damage. And in fact, the kills you've seen in the intro were done specifically with a Monsoon. So actually, in a lot of cases, what you saw in the intro was a weaker version of what you're actually going to have when you get this build. But there is no dedicated drop for this item, just like there isn't for any of the purples I've shown you so far. If you want to get it, go and farm Splash Zone and get lucky, or just hope that you've got some pimpin' friends on your friends list. And then lastly, the only other thing to talk about for our gear is our firmware. Now, just like last time, we're running 3 out of 3 High Cal and 2 out of 3 Airstrike. High Cal we use because, again, on Merv weapons, they interact interestingly with High Cal. When they pass through the enemy, they will both make a Merv on the enemy and on impact, which is very, very valuable because it's more damage, and that is going to play into the one-shot. But fear not, even if Gearbox fix this, this is still going to be a very, very powerful build. I can't guarantee that it will one-shot when they take this away, because I just haven't seen how that's going to affect us. Okay, so before we do a live demo of this build, I need to explain some more mechanics for you guys. So if you don't already know how Amon's Firewall works, we have tested this. It will give you a 25% damage boost to anything that passes through the shield. However, this interacts interestingly with MIRVs. So if you shoot a MIRV projectile through the shield and then on impact the MIRV it creates bounces back through the shield, that also gets the buff again. Okay, so that is very, very powerful. So because of this, you may see me in kills place my shield under the enemy's feet and then fire towards it. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that when I shoot at the enemy and the projectiles land underneath it, they're going to pass back through the shield and deal even more damage on impact. This is a very mechanically involved build. If you're not aware of how to play Amon, this is not a beginner build for this exact reason. Because the one-shots will depend on your skill. You cannot just go in here and get free one-shots. This is not San Saba Songbird. So just something to be aware of there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what the gameplay loop looks like for playing this build. Now, the order in which you pop your abilities is not too important, but I like to do them in one particular order for one reason. So the first thing I'm going to do is slam to activate my protein shield, then I'm going to pop my action skill, okay? When I get into the boss fight, I'm going to pop my rep kit and then do my firewall. The reason why is because I can animation cancel my rep kit with the firewall to get ready to damage as quick as I can. If I do firewall and then try to put my rep kit at the same time, I can't animation cancel that, okay? However, on the flip side, if I pop my rep kit, I can animation cancel that with the firewall, and I do still have the amp effect, alright? So if you want to be as optimal as you can and get that damage off as quick as you can, put rep kit, then firewall. And remember, we're placing the firewall under the enemy in the best formation that's going to allow our projectiles to pass back through the shield. So if the enemy is on all fours and they have one leg, one leg, one leg, one leg, I want my shield to go horizontal this way, okay? Into the gameplay showcase, I am going to now show you how to play the build, alright? So I want to be clear before I show off the boss kill that we're holding the splash weapon. This is not giving us 1 million damage, just to be clear. This is a nice increase, but I don't want you thinking it's some kind of exploit we're abusing to get a million DPS. It's just not the case. So we're going to hold that splash weapon. When we do the fight, we're going to slam to activate our protein shield. We're then going to get our action skill out. We are going to pop our rep kit, and I want to place my shield under the boss, and then I am going to ADS and fire to pull off that one shot, okay? Now again, even without High Cal 3, we can still one-shot this boss. This is an unoptimal version of what I'm showing you, because I want to make it clear that this is not a build like some which are relying on Groundbreaker or other stuff to get one-shots in the game right now, okay? This is a very, very optimized and well-methed out build which is going to be consistent, even after Gearbox make adjustments. I tried to, even though you shouldn't use the term, future-proof this build as much as I can for you guys. Now, into what this looks like with High Cal 3. I'm going to put High Cal 3 on and show you that, of course, it is going to get even stronger, just so you're aware. So here we go. I'm going to do the same kill again. And, of course, it's going to be very, very strong, as it should be. And yes, as you can see, the one-shot also gets pulled off, but just want to be clear that High Cal is not the reason we are doing the damage we are doing. Okay, two more things I'm going to show you before we are done with the build video today. First of all, I don't want to include this as a main part of the build because this is an exploit, but I do want to show you guys that yes, this does work with splat maxing. So if you don't already know, when we shoot those MIRVs with High Cal 3 at the pools, they are going to give us even more MIRVs, and we can use this to our advantage. I'm only going to use 3 splats, but you can obviously have 4 in your loadout. And yeah, I'm going to show you the same kill, this time with a little bit of splat maxing, and this one's going to be pretty crazy. So let's take a look at how this looks here. Alright, so here we go. And as you can see, it is a much faster kill. So if you are struggling to get those one-shots still, feel free to splat max while they haven't fixed it, and just be aware that it's most likely not intended, but if you want to do it, go ahead. You'll get way more damage like that, but for the purpose of the build, I did not show that off. Alright, and the last thing that I'm going to show you guys for this build is how mobbing looks on this build. Obviously, if we can one-shot bosses, you can probably imagine what's going to happen when we find some mobs. It's very simple what's going to happen. They're all going to get one shot. Now, of course, when it comes to bossing, you are not going to be able to just go up to any boss in the game and one-shot them. You're going to need to know how to play the build, which is why, like I said, it is more mechanically involved. But presuming you know how, it's very strong. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's build. Everybody say thank you to Frogman and go and play it immediately. This build is very strong, and presuming they don't go after it just outright, I'm very excited to see what it does to Bloom Reaper the Invincible when they add that. This is an extremely powerful build, and I have no doubt that we'll try to top it in the future. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it, sub to the channel. Be sure to check out the written guide on Mobilix in the description down below. And boys, I will see you all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.